They didn't even have the courage to say it to my face. A voicemail. That's how my parents told me I was out of the family business. My hand shook as I replayed the cold words again and again. Zoe, you're no longer needed. Don't come back. No explanation, no warning, just years of loyalty crushed in 30 seconds. Before we continue, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because what happens next will leave you in complete shock. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. I stared at the phone in disbelief. All the late nights I stayed at the office, all the sacrifices I made, every dream I put aside to help them, erased with a single message. My chest burned with anger. But behind the pain, something else sparked. Silence. Because what my parents didn't know was that I had been building something of my own, away from their controlling eyes. And if they thought I'd just walk away quietly, they were about to face a truth so big it would destroy every lie they had built around me. I didn't reply to their voicemail, not a single word. That's what they expected. Tears, begging, maybe even me showing up at their door asking for forgiveness. But instead, I put my phone face down and got back to work. What they never realized was that while they were busy treating me like an extra in their story, I was secretly writing my own. For 3 years, I had been quietly building a startup. Every coffee shop meeting, every late-night coding session, every risky decision I made behind their backs was finally starting to pay off. I had already secured angel investors, and my project had grown far beyond what they could imagine. But the real twist was yet to come. My parents had planned a grand gala to announce a new heir to the business. My cousin, the one who always mocked me for being too soft. Invitations were everywhere. The media was buzzing. They thought pushing me out would be the end of my story. But they had no idea I was preparing to walk into that very event and flip their perfect little world upside down, because when I arrived, it wouldn't be as the broken daughter they cast aside. It would be as someone they could never control again. The night of the gala arrived, and the city's most powerful families gathered under glittering chandeliers. I wasn't on the guest list. Of course I wasn't. But that didn't matter. I walked in wearing a dress that turned heads instantly, the kind of dress that spoke louder than any introduction. People whispered my name in confusion, some even shocked I had the nerve to show up. On stage, my father stood tall, smiling proudly as he held my cousin's hand. "Tonight," he announced, "we welcome the true future of our family business." Applause roared through the room, and my cousin smirked at me from the stage like he'd already won. My mother spotted me near the back, and her face went pale, but she didn't dare say anything. The humiliation burned through me as the cameras flashed, capturing their picture-perfect moment. Everyone clapped, everyone cheered, and yet, not one person seemed to care that I was standing right there, the daughter they erased with a voicemail. But what they didn't know was that in my purse lay an envelope, one that contained proof of the biggest deal of my career. A deal that didn't just match their company's worth. It surpassed it. I clenched it in my hand, waiting, my heart pounding. And when the host announced there would be a special moment for questions from the press, I knew this was it. This was my chance to turn their grand celebration into their greatest humiliation. The microphone passed from one journalist to another, each asking dull, predictable questions about the company's bright future. My cousin basked in the spotlight, answering with smug, rehearsed lines. I waited, silent, until finally one reporter's voice rang out. "Excuse me, but isn't it true that someone else has already secured the largest investment in this sector? A name we've been hearing recently. Zoe?" The room froze. All heads turned toward me. My father's smile cracked. My cousin laughed nervously, and my mother whispered something sharp under her breath. Slowly, I stepped forward, heels clicking against the marble floor, and held up the envelope in my hand. "That's right," I said, my voice steady, amplified by the mic. "You've all been celebrating the wrong person. While my family abandoned me, while they told the world I was nothing, I was busy building this." I handed the papers to the nearest journalist, who scanned the contract, and his eyes widened. Cameras started flashing. Reporters rushed closer. "Zoe," he said breathlessly, "you've secured international investors worth triple the valuation of this company. Is this true?" I nodded. The room erupted. Gasps, murmurs, people standing from their chairs trying to get a better look. My cousin's smirk vanished, replaced by raw panic. My father tried to take the mic, but I pulled it back. "You called me weak," I said, glaring at him. "You threw me away like I was worthless. But tonight, the world knows the truth. I don't need your approval. I don't need your name. And from this moment on, you'll never control me again." The crowd went wild, half cheered, half whispered, but every single eye was on me. My parents, for the first time in their lives, had nothing to say. The chaos in the ballroom was deafening. Reporters swarmed me, flashing lights blinded my vision, and yet, I felt calmer than ever. For years, I had dreamed of this moment. Not revenge, but freedom. And now, with every camera pointed at me, I knew I had it. My father finally stepped down from the stage, his face red with rage. "You've humiliated us," he hissed under his breath as he passed me. I only smiled. "No, Father. You humiliated yourselves the day you chose greed over family." My cousin, who just minutes ago had been basking in fake glory, stormed off the stage, leaving my mother clutching her pearls, too shocked to even breathe. The mighty empire they thought they ruled was crumbling right before their eyes, and I didn't even have to lift a finger. All I did was show them the truth. With the press still buzzing around me, I made my way toward the exit. My heels clicked against the marble like a drumbeat of victory. Before stepping out the doors, I turned once more, meeting my parents' eyes. "This is the last time you'll ever see me as the girl you left behind," I said. "From now on, the world will only know me for who I've become." And then, without another word, I walked out into the cold night air. But this time, the cold didn't scare me. It reminded me of where I had started, in the dark, in the freezing silence, and how far I had risen since then. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was winning. The night outside was quiet, but inside me there was a storm. For years I had cried myself to sleep wondering why my own parents chose power over me. Tonight, I finally had my answer. They never saw me as family, only as a tool they could control. And when I refused to play their game, they threw me away like nothing. But as I stood under the city lights, I realized something powerful. Their rejection was the best gift they had ever given me. If they hadn't pushed me out, I would never have built my own empire. I would never have discovered my strength, my voice, or my worth. My phone buzzed again. Another voicemail from my father. I didn't even bother listening. I deleted it with one swipe and whispered to myself, "That chapter is over." Then, with the cameras still flashing from a distance, I climbed into the back seat of my own car. Not the family's, not borrowed, but mine. As the door closed and the driver pulled away, I let out a deep breath. For the first time, it didn't feel like I had lost a family. It felt like I had freed myself from a prison, and the truth? That was the sweetest revenge of all. If you felt the chills in Zoe's journey, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this story. Because somewhere out there, someone else needs to hear that being underestimated is the first step toward becoming unstoppable.